I guess it sounds like a quick fix solution to a politician. Oh, yeah, just put this in the water. That'll fix everything. Then we won't have to spend all that money building more hospitals, building more, training more dentists, subsidising more dentist training. This is easy.
But they said the same thing about DDT. They said the same thing about asbestos. They said the same thing over and over again. The problem is the ball started rolling. The ball's got rolling too fast. What they are concerned about is backlash. Where do they stop it? How do they phase it out? What sort of marketing gimmick are they going to come up with to bring it back out of the water? At the moment, there's a big push coming out of Queensland and Victoria for class action against the federal government of Australia to have it removed from this country.
That's actually a national.
It's a national action
not a class
group.
action, but yeah.
Well, look, apart from the debate about the benefits of fluoride, or as you say, the harm that it can do, I'm interested in this idea that no matter what effects it may have on the body, regardless of that, it's a form of medication that's been forced on people. Am I right in thinking that both of you believe that this is a type of compulsory medication for everybody?
It is definitely. It's the only chemical added to water for the purpose of medicating the population. Every other chemical is about treating the water, making it safer or cleaner to drink. And fluoride's the only chemical that's been added. I mean, for the sake of medicating the community, it's mass medication. We don't give our consent, and there's some petitions going around, non-consent to water fluoridation. If people want a copy of that, we can get that to them. But basically stating that I do not consent to being medicated through the water supply, or to my children being medicated through the water supply, and basically I totally object to this practice.
So you actually believe people should have the choice, but that it shouldn't be thrust upon us like this. People should be able to add drops of their own little drops, cups of water.
If you want to drink it, yes, add drops. But if you really think that it's going to affect your life and you want to take tablets or go to the dentist, or the council supplies a gel that you can apply to your teeth or to your kids' teeth, at least give people a choice, give them the education and let them make that choice.
We actually had a couple at a meeting we were at a few weeks ago, and we raised the issue to fluoride, and they jumped up very quickly and said that fluoride's the best thing that ever happened, and you've obviously heard a couple of those statements as well. And I sat in front of this gentleman, and a very educated fellow, and I said, well, okay, you've claimed you've done the research, now tell me, what is fluoride? Where does it come from? And he refused to answer. I went through the conversation. 5 minutes later, I continually asked, probably 10, 12 times, where does it come from? And he couldn't give me the answer. At the end of the day, he stated that people in Australia need to have it because they're too lazy to look after themselves. His rationale was the government has to do it for you because people in Australia are too lazy. Now, there's a real issue in the behind the scenes here, and it's about the legislation. In Queensland recently, there was a major spill of fluoride in the waterways in the North Brisbane area. This dosage was between 25 and 30% higher,
30
times higher than what it should have been. First of all, it wasn't revealed and leaked to the consumers. The public weren't informed until 2 or 3 weeks later, when the facts and figures came out. The issue in that is that through the legislation of bringing fluoride into Queensland, the legislation also covers the government for any backlash in regard to the results, or any contaminations or any injury caused to any consumer drinking fluoridated water. Now, if this product was so good
and so safe
and so good for the teeth and for the human body, then why would they have legislated a get-out clause where they cannot be held accountable?
Hang on, are you saying there's legislation that removes any liability?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't think you could legislate that sort of thing.
Well, they have. Yeah.
They've done it.
It's amazing, isn't it?
That's why there was a litigation lawyer in Queensland was putting together an action against the government, and in doing so, and doing the research and going through the legislation, discovered that they'd put this get-out clause in there. So the actual action was then dropped because they had no grounds to stand on.
Now, look, assuming that this gets through in the Hastings, and we have to assume that because the council on their website, they're saying it's coming. There's no debate about it. It says it's coming. What can people do? Because I've been thinking, Speaking to people this week, a lot of people say, I don't really care, I'm just going to boil my water and it won't be a problem. Can we boil our way out of this?
No. Boiling the water actually will concentrate the fluoride ions in the bottom of your kettle. And if you're one of those people who likes to boil some water, then leave a bit in the bottom of the jug, top it back up again, boil some more, you'll just condense all of that, and that goes for heavy metals as well. So it's not a good way to try and deal with the issue. Boiling water was only ever meant for trying to kill off bacteria, harmful bacteria.
But even the hot shower will cause the issue as well. You're talking about temperature. A lot of the time you'll look at the water coming out of the shower and there's steam attached. You know, you've sort of got to use a little bit of logic in amongst this. The shower water comes out at 45, 50 degrees, and when you go to areas such as Newcastle and Sydney, there is a very high sense of fog coming from that shower. Now, a lot of it is chlorine gas, but a lot of it is also fluorine gas.
Well, we don't know. There's been no studies to look at the combination of fluoride with other water treatment chemicals and what perhaps that might produce. That's scary.
Are there any studies that show that it's detrimental to you, fluoride, if you're bathing in it and showering in it?
There are people actually who there's not a lot of work done in this area, but there are people who are so sensitive that they actually get allergies and rashes on their skin. There's a little girl, I think it was in Queensland, when they had that spill where they overdosed the northern area of Brisbane with 30 times the prescribed dose. One parent reported that his child was in the bath and ended up blistered and basically,
you've got to remember it's an acid.
It is an acid, and if you swallow that, you could scour the lining of your throat and your gastrointestinal tract. I also suggest that anybody with any type of health issue that could possibly be worsened by water fluoridation, and that's, we've talked about these already: arthritis, osteoporosis, kidney disease, diabetes, anyone with chemical sensitivities, allergies, hypothyroidism, anybody with young infant children, pregnant women, anybody planning a pregnancy should go to their doctor, talk to their doctor about this, and get a medical certificate stating that fluoride will most likely make their medical condition worse, even if they say it could make their medical condition worse, and that they recommend that these people be supplied with reverse osmosis filter systems or alternative water supply by the council. Now, this has happened elsewhere.
That'd scare the council into action, wouldn't it?
Well,
it's actually happened already.